Foo Fighters, Times Like These. Great rock song, great rock band. This is the acoustic version. Okay, so there's a couple of acoustic versions that you can find on Spotify at least for the acoustic album, and the Skin and Bones, which is the live album where they do it acoustically as well. There's really only a couple of main differences between doing the full-on rock version, which has that famous guitar riff in it now, and the way they do it on the acoustic guitar. There is probably the main difference is the chord that they use over the D. So in the rock version, they use this D7 sus2, which is what I think this is called, D7 sus2 as a guitar chord for the D. With distortion in a band context, that sounds really great. With the acoustic guitar having to kind of carry the whole weight of that D chord in the song, they use a full-on D chord and they do this instead. So when the rock guitar is doing that D7 sus2, the bass is playing this note where he jumps from the A to the D, right? And that's what they kind of emulate on the acoustic guitar here. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on a little bit here because I really like this song, and I like the acoustic version, and I like the subtle differences they've made with this acoustic version. So with the acoustic version, you start with this D, you lift your finger off the G string and hammer it back onto the second fret, which is the A note. So you're... Then when they start singing, so there's a 3-bar intro of D for that. On the live version, it's a little bit longer because he talks a little bit on the intro, but 3 bars on the studio acoustic version. And then when the singing starts, he goes, I, and he lifts that finger off, 1 and 2 and. On the 2 and beat, he lifts that finger off the E string to make it a D sus2. I'm a one-way motorway. Then we go to the A minor 7. I'm the one that drives away. Then we use a C add 9. And then an E minor 7 follows you back. And that E minor 7 you can play in a number of different ways. You can have just that finger there, but I do hear this note here and I hear this note here sometimes. So I think that they're using both those fingers there, and either both those fingers on the A and D strings, second fret, or at least the one on the A string, second fret. So take your pick out of all those E minor 7 chord shapes, but definitely an E minor 7. Follows you back home, back to the D. The only time you do that D with the hammered on G string onto the A note, the only time you do that is when there's a D playing and there's no singing over the top. If there's singing over the D, you're playing just the D or the D sus2. Okay, so that's your verse. I'm the one that moves away. I'm the one that drives away. Follows you back home. Right, does that a couple of times. When it gets to the chorus, it's C add 9. It's times like these. E minor 7, you learn to live again. Then, this is what makes this chorus a little bit interesting, is that it's a 3-chord cycle. Each chord has 2 beats. So if you look at it the way I've marked it out on the chart, it goes C add 9, E minor 7, next bar is D, C add 9, next bar is E minor 7, D. But it follows that 3-chord pattern through 3 times. It's times like these, third time you learn to love again. On the 4th time, it's times like these, time and time again. We're back to the start. So on your chart, you hit a repeat symbol and you go back to 1 bar in from your intro, from the very start of the song, because you pick up a 2-bar sort of intro bit on D, and then you move into the second verse. After the second chorus, we do the part that is going to be a little bit of a challenge for you if you're up for it. The rock riff, the chords underneath it are D, C, and B, or D over B if you like. But there are bass notes, D, C, and B. And again, they cycle through that 3-chord pattern. But over the top of that is that riff, and it's in 7/8. So what we do here is we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do it again. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the last time you go through that B, which is the second time through in this section that you hit that B note, it turns back into a bar of 4/4 or 8/8 if you like. So you have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars of 7/8, followed by 1 bar of 8/8, and then we're back into the E. Now, how you play that guitar riff as well as those bass notes is kind of tricky, and tricky to get sounding clean, but it's a nice challenge to try, especially if you want to play this song on your own and keep in that 7/8 section. So the easiest way I can figure to do this is by hitting your D bass note and playing the riff here. With these fingers, 3rd finger, 1st finger, 3rd, 2nd finger. Then you go to the C bass note and you play that with your 2nd finger, so you go. And now you're using 3rd finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger, pinky, and you move your 1st finger over to play this F sharp on the 2nd fret of the E string. Then for the trickiest part, you're down to B and you keep that 3rd finger where it is because you're going to do that riff one more time. And back to the start of that progression. Here's the bar of 4/4. There's that extra beat, that 8th beat in that last bar over the B note that gets you back into the normal 4/4 rhythm. And then into 2 bars of the intro again, into another chorus, and it pretty much choruses out from there. You're playing through that 3-chord pattern. Through that chorus, it revs up for a little while, for about 4 choruses, and then they bring it back, but they're basically just chorusing out to the end. And that's the song. Thanks for watching. I hope you find this interesting, and I hope you get around this little finger twisting challenge for the middle section, because it's good fun to do, and it's good to do things like this that make us play slightly differently. If you don't want to do that section, if you find it too tricky or you don't care for it, leave it out. Leave it out. Just go from the chorus back to the intro again, and Bob's your uncle. See you here next time.